Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
I think I'm bad to the bone. Maybe not. I think pets are bad to the bone. Or is your pet bad to the bone? What about the value of public speaking? Okay. Because I love how my computer, it's so advanced, does this. Like I wasn't centered because I was rushing to get into the studio. And my computer just centers me into the video. It's beautiful. Anyway, that's what that idiocracy was. If you were wondering why I was moving across the screen. But anyway, yeah. So today, our first part's with the pet health guru. Is your pet bad to the bone? Let's find out what that's all about. And then after that, one of my favorite subjects, I'm going to be talking to Michael Barbarita about the value of public speaking. As you know, I'm not just a radio person. I'm not just a podcast person, but originally I'm a public speaker, and I've shared the stage with many of the great speakers. And you know what? We're even going to find out later what Warren Buffett has to say about public speaking, or the fact that he thinks it's of value. But for right now, let's bring on Studio Nut and the Pet Health Guru. Do.
Hello.
Oh,
welcome,
hello,
Pet
hello,
Health
hello.
Guru. Welcome,
How you
Pet
doing,
Health Guru.
man?
I'm doing good.
Thank you.
Good. I almost missed a show because I was busy hanging something on the wall. No, I'm just kidding. I got that done a long time ago. But I was talking to a publicist about band interviews and about what happens at festivals. That should be a whole nother show I think we may do on Wednesday. Who knows? But we're here now, and I think I think we should have started the show with George Thorogood. Okay. But tell us, why is your pet bad to the bone?
It's a very complex situation. When I started in the business, basically we had no problem with animals. I mean, occasionally you saw one or two. But today, with modern life and what we are doing to our pets, we're really screwing them up. I mean, we're creating these environments where training is almost impossible with many dogs. I remember when I started when I was a kid, housebreaking a dog, a weekend event. You know, you fed them, you took up, they went potty, they remembered, never happened again. Now I see trainers with dogs that have been in training for 6 months, and they're finally housebroken, and they take them, drop them off at the owner's house, and the first thing the dog does is take a dump on the floor. It's like, you know, it just, the system is just so screwed up. Of course, you know, that a lot of that goes back to the behavioral problems, and the behavioral issues are because of food, chemicals, hormone imbalances, all of that stuff. Same thing we have with our kids.
It's unbelievable too. Like you were saying about a dog. That's why I don't want people's dogs over my place. Like it's like that. It's always the parents of dogs that say, "My dog wouldn't do any of that." That does it. Do you find that
Exactly.
true?
It's yeah, absolutely. You know, again, because just like with our kids, you know, commercial pet foods are basically carbohydrate based, which means they're sugar based. And so we've got that problem to start with. They're on a sugar high, then they crash, you know, and it's creating a situation where they're not comfortable in their own body because they're always battling inflammation. Then you throw in 9,000, you know, procedures, if you will, where we're sticking them full of needles and pumping chemicals into them. And we wonder why the whole endocrine system is off. The thyroid is off. The adrenal gland is off. All of that sort of thing. It's creating all that. And then we just for something to do, I guess, we then either spay or neuter them, which throws off that hormonal section completely. And we want them to act normal. I mean, is that
right?
possible? If you had body parts ripped out and loaded up with drugs and chemicals, would you be leading what we would consider to be a natural life?
Now, wait a minute. My friend, she just went to the vet recently in California, and her dog needs dental work. $4,500 worth of dental work. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? You know what? I, I'm just, I can't see ever spending $4,500 on dental work on a dog. I don't
I
know.
better see some 24 karat golden teeth in my dog if I'm spending that kind of money.
Right? What's that all about, Bill?
Well, again, the carbohydrates. Dogs and cats do not have the amylase in their saliva that we do to break down carbohydrates. So that just converts directly into sugar. And then that coats with tartar. And now you got the bacterial infections going on. You got all this tartar buildup, all of that sort of thing. Um, I remember going back to the early 1980s when I was a manufacturer's rep. And I actually started selling dental equipment. I could not give it away to a veterinarian until they sued us for practicing medicine without a license. We were selling to groomers, state of Ohio. And when they presented us with this charge, there was nothing about dental in the veterinary code because they were never treating it because it wasn't there. It was the advent of artificial flavors in dry kibble dog food and then canned foods that set off this firestorm. Within about 3 to 5 years, all of a sudden, they're all having dental problems. Manufacturers came out with crunchier food for cleaner teeth, which turned out to be a lie. FTC made them take it off the label. That whole industry is built on a fallacy, and it's just about taking money. Like you said, $4,500. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And you know what happens, I find, is that people will spend more money at the vet than they will on their doctor. Like they'll let themselves get sick and die, but they'll spend thousands on their pet immediately.
Yeah, it's true. I got a call Saturday night from a client in tears because we sell on fear. Okay, so anyway, she's got a dog that's pretty well behaved, well socialized, and she takes it out quite a bit with like the pool and walking around the neighborhood and things of that nature. And she had an exemption for the rabies shot, and it was expiring. And she didn't have enough money to have another exemption written. So one of the feed stores in the area was offering a clinic. And so she took the dog over. Now, this dog has got small tumors on its body. So it's got cancer. And the veterinarian that was there noted it. The vet tech noted it, looked at it, and proceeded on the procedure. Well, when you look at the box with a warning label, it says can only be given to a healthy animal. Now, if you've got tumors, isn't it obvious that that's not healthy? And
Right?
really, if that veterinarian was ethical, she should have written an exemption right there on the spot. But no, they took the money instead and
Wow.
basically poisoned the dog, which is now sick.
It's terrible. And listen, I
This
think
happens.
people are so
Yeah.
blind about it that they love their animals so much that whatever the vet says, they do. They would question their own doctor about their own body, but they don't question the vet. What's up with that?
It's all in, it's so heavily indoctrinated. You can't start. If we go back and look at time over the last, I don't know, 40 years, we're told we can't feed our animals real food. We have to give them a commercial mix of food that we know, based on research, based on anecdotal evidence, that the animal's going to get sick, and we have to treat them. We've watched the average lifespan of dogs go from 20 to 30 years down to 8 to 12. And they have all this testing, all these super drugs and preventions and everything else. How is it that the life expectancy could drop that much in 40 years
Wow.
if they've evolved into these super beings?
Yeah. No. I think that's the beginning of the end of your life expectancy, probably. But, you know,
Yeah.
I want to know too, like we're talking about behavioral issues. How do we know the difference between a behavioral issue or instinct? For instance, we're talking about like let's say you bring your dog to somebody's house. Now, are they peeing in their house because of a behavioral issue or because they're marking their territory? And how do you know the difference?
Well, that's the toughest part about it because you've got now you probably, if there's another dog where you're going, okay, now you've got that territorial thing going on, okay, because you got two animals that are, may I say, psychotic, because they both have issues, but they're different issues. So you
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, you might get one dog that's friendly with some dogs and will attack another. Will attack not because it's an aggressive dog, but on a defensive basis because that other dog is aggressive and your dog senses that. So you get these mixed feelings going across. It's like going to a club or a concert. You get some really out there people on both sides.
I think that when I'm just walking out the door, to be honest.
You're right there. And heaven help you if you go into a government building, right?
I'm telling you, 2026, I prefer not to walk out the door because every time I walk out the door, it's like, okay, maybe I'll go back in the door. Too many stupid people out there.
It's incredible. It really is. And here's a person that was just trying to do the right thing and be compliant, but the fear was so bad. And because she's staying in a relative's house down here in Florida, we got a lot of those that, their houses are empty for 6 months of the year for the snowbird. So she's staying there for free. She's afraid the owner will have the liability if this dog ever snaps. And, it's like they don't realize that those are regulations. They're not laws. They call them laws, but they're really not. You don't
Yeah.
have to comply. And that's true across our whole society, as you're well aware. I mean, when they put up these regulations and that sort of thing, but yet that's not the law.
Most regulatory
It's
bodies are not even government. Like people don't realize that. Even like in the investment business, the regulatory bodies, there's the compliance legal bodies that are government, but then the regulatory bodies are self-regulating. So it's just people in the business that are on the board of that regulatory board that enforce that stuff. It most regulation in this country is self-regulation. People don't realize that.
yeah, it's 10, 12 years ago, we had a veterinary clinic for a short period of time. And my partner at that point in time we were spending more money on attorneys fighting the state board because we would not do certain procedures because it was set up as a natural holistic type practice. And it was the other veterinarians that actually commenting and bringing up the charges against us because we would not comply with what they call standard of care. And if you got a veterinarian like this one, where they knew there was a problem with the animal and they ignore the manufacturer's warning anyway, and they don't want to write the exemptions because the board frowns on it. It's about dollars. I saw on a podcast earlier this morning where the average cost for one of those sticking a needle in is about $150 to $200 walking in the door. And the question was, what? Why? That little vial only cost them like $4. Well, we got overhead and everything else, but they got a little bit deeper. That they claim that every time a veterinarian has to do anything, the price includes basically an evaluation. So they're charging for an evaluation when you just want, a parasite check. That
Hmm.
is the evaluation. It's a parasite check. It's a lab test, you know. But this is how they keep just piling on. And of course, now with investment companies, venture capitalists, that sort of thing, buying up all the animal hospitals, the prices are going through the roof. $4,500 for dental is not extraordinary today. I mean, I've had people come in and they're quoted 10,000 or more, and
I
then
think it's
it's like,
ridiculous when I
especially
show up to a human dentist and they say that crap. Okay.
Now we have
yeah,
seen like the prices skyrocket in pet health in general. Do you see a market for something like a healthcare type of plan for your pets coming in the future?
That there already is. You can buy pet
yeah,
insurance.
they've been out there for 40 years or more, and but the problem is they basically cover these little vials of chemicals that they inject that cost them $3 to $5. The insurance company will pay for that, but heaven forbid you got cancer.
Right.
Then oh well, that's not covered, or if it is, a deductible is like through the ceiling. Um, and they don't even, most of them don't even have the expertise to do this, and then they're just playing around and they just keep doing the same thing. I had a client come in with a cat with an ear infection. 6 months the vet's been trying to treat this and cure this. And it was funny because we got to talking a little bit. I mean, so, occasionally you'll see that I'm wearing these patches, and which actually build stem cells. And it was funny because I had it on. And he said, "Well, what's going on there?" I said, "Oh, it's nothing important. It's just a new technology that uses light, non-trans, that will help your body build new stem cells." And he started, "What do you mean it's not important?" It's like, that's probably one of the most important health things we could do. So I gave him samples of it, puts it on the cat, comes back 4 days later. The wound is almost completely healed, where the cat had scratched itself wide open and the infection was gone in 4 days' time.
Hmm. That's from
And the
that
cost
little
would have been,
thing.
I don't know, the little patch, yeah. And it was probably, okay, 4 days. That would have been $8 worth of patches. I can add my markup on top of it. What am I going to do? $100 for a cure? It wouldn't even be worth it because they've been doing 6 months of treatment. And every time you walk in that door, it's cha-ching, 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 cha-ching.
So those patches
Yeah.
will take care of
And of
anything
course,
that's like an open wound.
yeah, they help with that. They help with pain. Pain is unbelievable with those. And actually, we're going to be doing a podcast on those on the Pet Health Cafe here very soon. The things I have seen, the miracles. It's like, well, if you're familiar with red light therapy, even on the behavioral problems, that stuff helps because you're detoxifying the body. The body feels better. And this is just a portable, basically red light therapy technology. And it's been
Hmm.
around almost 20 years. And yet there's very, you've got some alternative practitioners, naturopaths and chiropractors and that sort of thing that are familiar with it. But the mainstream keeps it buried, just keeps it completely buried because they don't want you to get well. I mean, I'm a living
You
testament to it myself. I use them. I mean, I go back a couple years ago. I couldn't even get out. I had to roll out of bed because my back was so bad. Now I'm up and down the stairs. I'm lifting 80-pound boxes of meat, and I'm not a young guy anymore.
do you
The
sell
pain
those things,
is
by the way?
completely gone. My strength is. We sure do. And anybody that's interested, just come by my Paleo Pet, and we'll get you hooked up because I mean, I had one of my employees this past week. Her father-in-law, bone on his knee, couldn't even get up. Basically, he sits all day long. Took the pain one, put it on. They put the pain patches on. Within 20 minutes, he's like walking around, and he's like, "This is a miracle." They want to do
Now, is
surgery.
it
They
getting
want to do replacement surgery. I have another one.
rid of the source
What's
of the
that?
pain or just the feeling of the pain?
It gets rid of the source.
Hmm.
It basically it's flooding the air. It's like what I do with herbs and nutrition. And then we did that with CBD oil. You're turning on receptor sites in that spot, so the body just floods it with enzymes and hormones and blood cells and adrenaline and all of that sort of stuff. So it all goes away.
So does it
It's
work
just
on
it's a
things?
phenomenal product. It really is.
Does it work on things like migraine headaches,
Yep.
osteoarthritis, things like that?
Have MS, degenerative disc diseases. Help because your body's designed to be regenerated, and it's a regenerative science, is what it really is. We're just allowing people are spending $5,000 or more for stem cell injections, and what they're doing is that they're extracting stem cells from the body, spinning them down, treating them, that sort of thing, and then re-injecting them. Those last about 3 months because what they're drawing off are the old stem cells. This technology actually is promoting your body, use of body building peptides to grow brand new baby stem cells. The whole myth about that you're only, when you're born, you've got only so many and then they're gone. That's a myth. It's just like everything else that they taught us. So that's need I digress, It's like medicine it's not health. There's no health component in medicine.
Well, I have to
Emergency
say
medicine, okay.
something too.
But
And this may be an unpopular opinion, but it's like, okay, the whole thing with medical marijuana, it does have medical uses, but some of the people that are going to these dispensaries and saying I have to go get my medicine, dude, that ain't your medicine, okay? If you're taking it for glaucoma, for
no.
cancer, or any of the things it treats, yeah, okay, I'll give that to you. But because you went to some medicinal marijuana doctor and told them you stubbed your toe and you need it for the pain, doesn't make it medicine.
No. No, that's the whole thing. I mean, medicine is designed to basically manage symptoms. And, what we want to do, what you and I want to do, and then I'm sure Juan wants to do as well, is we want to heal our body. We want it to be naturally healthy and prevent this stuff from happening. And
Yeah.
it's out there. It's been out there for literally millenniums. I mean, it's been there forever. You go back, when we're talking about this light technology, well, if you go back into the 1800s, every single hospital had solariums. All the fixtures on the doors and the cups and everything else were copper. And that's what this uses, is copper peptides. That's what keeps us going because that conducts our electrical currency.
Mm-hmm. See that one, even before there were such thing as millennials, we've had this.
Now, how do these patches work? Because, like, for example, I get a lot of muscle spasms on my back. Do you have to put them directly on the trouble spot, or can they be put anywhere and it affects the whole body?
Basically, it affects the whole body. Basically, how it works, it's just a matrix of crystals inside of a non-transdermal patch. Nothing's going into the body, but it reflects back certain frequency within your body. And that's what creates the different things. I mean, I use one that creates glutathione, for instance. Another one that does SOD, gets rid of inflammation. The pain one, of course. It takes time for your body to heal. And the other thing, of course, that I recommend, being who I am, is, of course, the nutritional part of it's got to be there too. You want to grow good, healthy baby stem cells. And that can only be done through good nutrition and not poisoning yourself.
Wow.
And that's going to affect behavior.
Of course. And like So let me ask you more questions about behavior, especially specifically when it comes to dogs. There's some people out there that believe in order to train your dog, how do I put this? You have to be like a drill sergeant and almost like, for lack of a better way of putting it, it's not actually doing it, but beating them in. Our time is up, folks. Our time is up. Sorry, but
And
the
now
pet
it's
health
turned off.
guru
I don't know.
did not.
The phone has been doing all kinds of strange things.
Yeah, sorry, the pet health guru hasn't been doing this long enough to know to silence your phone while doing a show.
That was on silent. This is what it's done today to me like 6 times. It almost
Oh
blew out of my
well,
truck when it came on. It was so freaking loud. It was like, what the hell's going on?
and I had
But
FedEx come here
anyway, yeah.
today. He was so quiet, I didn't even know he was standing there.
But
So back to what I was
as far
saying though
as
about beating them into
behavioral
submission. You know, like
does not work.
exactly like all these macho guys. They think like being the alpha with the dog makes them obedient. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, and we're actually working with a trainer on Instagram that if you put in my paleo pet, his stuff will come up as well. But he's working with Malinois, Belgian Malinois, which are they're maniacs. This dog is almost always off leash. Supermarkets, Costco, wherever he goes, dog it knows exactly what to do, and he uses a positive reinforcement that the dog is watching and just wants to please him to such an extent that there's never a problem. And
because he's always
it
looking for
freaks a
that
lot of people
reward.
out because first off they're looking at this.
I
Yeah,
think he should.
exactly. And
I
whether
think
it's
he should
whether it's
start.
verbal, whether
Sorry, I think he should start a separate section in a business where, like, he could do that for your significant other.
there you go. That would be good.
So, Bill, how do
Absolutely.
we reach out to you, to My Paleo Pet? Check out your show, check out your podcast, like just check everything out.
Okay. A couple of changes that are going to be occurring there. First thing is, of course, go to the Pet Health Cafe and listen to the podcast and all the advice that we bring forward every week. Of course, it's on every Thursday night live, and then we do YouTube and Spotify and all the others all 24/7, so they can get in on the Pet Health Cafe anytime, day or night. My Paleo Pet, go onto the website, mypaleopet.com. That's where you can book consultations and, of course, order all of our good products. The store is going to be moving within the next probably 3 to 4 weeks. We still don't have a home. It was a situation with a landlord that we have no control over. We're going to be in the same area. Address is going to be announced very shortly. In fact, I was hoping that was the realtor that was calling through so we can sign the contract. But we're going to be in the same area, a much, much bigger and exciting store with extra services being added, not only on the pet side, but also on the human side as well, different spa type situations. So we're looking forward to a very quick move, but yet an exciting move. And so stick with us. Of course, I'll be announcing it on this show here when I finally get an address. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. So reach out to us, and you know, it's life is a journey,
It
and we're
certainly
embarking on a
is.
brand new part of it.
It certainly is, and you're a great part of it. So I love the info you always give our audience. Love your show, Everybody that has not tuned into your show before needs to check it out. And thank you once again, Pet Health Guru, for all your great advice.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.